Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. This show is coming live from Strategic Frontlines, Gunner Shot and P Gurus, and I have three good generals now. Let's welcome the good generals. Namaskar, sir. How are you?
Namaskaram, sir. Pleasure to be on your
Namaskaram and good morning, India.
Yeah, today is combining Good Morning India and three good generals. And General Dushyant Singh will be joining us in just a moment. Let's start with, as always, the Sunil Gavaskar of the team. General Shankar, sir, you have a slide deck also. Viewers, what it is while the United States might win the war, will it win the peace? And this is the topic that we're going to be discussing. Over to you, General Shankar.
Thanks a lot, sir. Before I get into my presentation and all that, what I'm going to present to you is actually quite without any bias, without anything. It's just reportage. I'm not giving a great analysis in this, but I'll pose some questions. This is as it is coming out. And then we'll discuss. There are many sides to this story which we have started. And today is day 6. And this will also be a bit about what's the update on day 6. Right? And I'm sure General Rajiv will have a completely different viewpoint. And I'm looking forward to that. No, I mean, I'm very serious. His viewpoint is going to be very interesting because we've shared it. But I'm going to give you the conventional viewpoint like Gavaskar. Okay. So let's have the presentation. So let's talk of day 6. What's the main thing about day 6 and how things are going? Okay. Wait. Okay. This is the terrain map of Iran, which General Rajiv Narayanan has shown. I'll leave it. I'm not going to explain it. It conveys hell of a lot. I leave it for him to explain when it comes. We'll put it on at that point of time. But look, what is Trump saying? He says the Iranian, leaders are calling for a deal. They want to deal, and he says it's too late. What does it indicate? Does he want to do a deal or not do a deal? Okay, and then he said Navy ship is gone, 24 gone, 30 gone, all fine. Then he's also calling out to the IRGC people to lay down their arms. Now it's time to stand. He's trying to coax a revolution. Just keep this at the back of our mind as we go along. And this is the briefing, a short briefing of Admiral Brad Cooper, who's the CENTCOM commander. If you can't hear, let me know, then we'll put something else in, right?
Our strikes against the Iranian Navy have intensified. You may have heard the president say just a little while ago that we have sunk or destroyed 24 ships. That was true at the moment. We're now over 30 ships. And in just the last few hours, we hit an Iranian drone carrier ship, roughly the size of a World War II aircraft carrier. And as we speak, it's on fire.
Right. So they've done a hell of a lot. But I found this interesting clip, which gets many things into question, again in Washington Post. Listen to this clip, and again, if you can't hear it, let me know, and I'll this thing. Yeah.
We've heard from the U.S. president that he wants the Iranian people to seize this moment.
When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take.
That sounds a lot like regime change. But then, we heard from the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth.
This is not a so-called regime change war.
It's really hard to...
So the Secretary of Defense says it's not a regime change war, and President Trump says regime change. So what is the aim of the American offensive comes into question straight away. Yeah.
Tell whether or not the kinds of military operations that we're seeing right now could possibly topple Iran's regime. They lost their supreme leader. They lost many of the country's top generals. And yet things seem to be holding together for now. Iran has continued to retaliate for the U.S. and Israeli strikes. And Iran's political leadership already appears to be regrouping. They've established this temporary council to lead the affairs of the state. People are addressing the nation and promising that, the country will come through this and will achieve victory. There are some members of Iran's opposition who have long said that in order to overthrow the Iranian regime, what's needed is some sort of outside military force to weaken the regime so that then people can come out into...
See, she's talking of an outside military force. The outside military force has to be boots on ground, right? There's not a single hobnail on ground, leave alone a boot. Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead with it. Right. Let's look at this story. What's happened? First, Hezbollah has become active in Lebanon. Whatever Israel is doing, it's there. Hezbollah was supposed to be killed, full, and all that, but they're active. Then Turkey has been attacked. It's a NATO member. Now, what will you do? You know, the NATO class 5 or class 6, whatever it is, as per that, it says attack on one member means everyone gets into it. Is NATO going to get into this whole deal? Europe going to come? So the questions about the NATO itself which have come into play. Then, of course, the Azeri front has become active. And Caspian oil lines are under threat. You have to understand what Iran is doing. Iran is just widening the war. Okay? The Iraq militias are active. Kurds are active. Now people are saying there'll be boots on ground from Kurdistan. But the fact is that Kurdistan is, or the Kurd area is only this much. It's not so great that they'll come and take over everything. And this is where that little map which General Narayanan showed comes into play. The Strait of Hormuz is closed. Qatar is being attacked. LNG is closed. Tomorrow you will not have chullas to light in your house if it continues for a few days more. What you're doing is a different story. But this is the threat which is there. And people are saying we are winning the war. Okay. Houthis have become active. Right. And this is the Kurd area. And this side is the Iraqi Kurd area. From here, how can you control the rest of Iran? This small lot. And they're not that organized. The IRGC is very well organized. It's not a foolish thing. Now, this is the, command structure of, or rather, the Iranian regime, whatever you call it, government regime and all that. Supreme leader killed. Armed forces heads are being killed. Some guys of the National Defense Forces are killed. Iranian IRGC head has been killed and defense minister has been killed. You are left the head of judiciary, that is the Supreme Court guy, and Peskashian. Do these people have the capability to control the rest of the thing? Because as it is in the structure, the Peskashian doesn't have the control over the others. So that regime is intact and not intact. It's headless. But interestingly, every nominated successor of this regime has been targeted, so you don't have anyone to speak to. Khomeini's funeral has been, we know, yesterday only we spoke, it's been postponed because anyone comes there, he's going to get hit. So far, US military operations have not threatened the regime's grip on power. The regime still holds power within Iran. And it's very clear from the May 12 or May 12-day war to now, Iran was prepared for this conflict. I've been saying this for the past 3 days. They have a 3-tier system. You might take out one tier, second tier. The third tier is still intact. You don't know who they are. And as per reports, the presence on the streets in Iran with Basij and paramilitary forces and all has increased. They're doing patrolling and you can't stop them. There are no reports of defections within the regime. No popular uprisings. All that story was last month, 2 months back, January 1st week. Right? Mr. Trump has been calling out for regime, people to stand up and all. No one is standing. The regime remains opaque and regime collapse is almost impossible to judge from outside. Right? My bet is that whatever has happened over the past 5 days, right, has hardened even the normal people to go towards the regime. It's a matter of civilizational approach. Right. Iran has structured its armed forces, like I said earlier, in anticipation of decapitation strikes. They're isolated, they're fighting an isolated battle based on general instructions given. And I said this earlier, and that is why you're not able to stop it. They're using decoys heavily, they've gone underground heavily. Underground, physically underground. Right? The whole idea of Iran is to outlast US and Israel. And the next thing I've actually picked up from a report which is very logical. They understand they will not be able to defeat the most powerful army in the world. But with asymmetric warfare, they can try to inject as much damage as possible to make the US seek de-escalation. And this is why Iran has prioritize retaliation against the Persian Gulf nations and countries that could begin to pressurize the US to seek an off-ramp. This is what Anthony Blinken said yesterday. He said the off-ramp is to declare victory and get out. And the longer the conflict lasts, the more deadly it is likely to become for all sides. All this shock and awe business is very fine, what Pete Hegseth says. What is the constituents of peace? What is peace? You have to have peace finally. You can't be in a perpetual state of war. You need to have a government which can govern as per the people's wishes or the US wishes or anything. For that, you need a leader. Where's the leader? And that leader has to be acceptable to the people. Otherwise, he'll also be killed from internally. Where are they going to get it? So far, no one knows. And Mr. Trump wants to put a leader. You think the Iranians will agree? You think we will tomorrow agree if someone wants to replace Modi and get someone in? Regime change, हम तो खड़े हो जाते हैं. Soros, Poros and all that. Don't you think the Iranian people will do that? Please understand that. You need an Iran if you want peace, which will not threaten its neighbors. A destabilized Iran will threaten its neighbors already. So where's the peace? You need an Iran which will not fold under to destabilize the Middle East balance. You need a strong Iran still. Remember, Iraq, Libya, Sudan, Syria are all gone. They have all been destabilized over the past 30 years. That means you're going to lead to a Sunni domination. Erstwhile balance in the Middle East was a matter of Syria. Syria was supposed to be the place where you went for peace. When this Bashar al-Assad's father, Hafiz Assad, was the president of Syria, people used to say, you want war, you go to Egypt. You want peace, you go to Syria. Now today Syria is a war zone. Think, Iraq. Saddam Hussein was providing stability. You took him out. Saudi Arabia, you're pumping him up. He's got limited capability. He can't fight. Turkey na idhar ka hai na udhar ka hai. What about Iran itself? You're destabilized. Is there any likely of stability coming back? Iran, the way I look at it, is going to go degenerate into Iraq, what it is today. Egypt was once a power, you decapitated it. Libya is in 3 bits. Right? So, the complete Middle East balance, if you look at it from, say, the Camp David time, 70s to now, is gone. Finished. You need a regime which will allow free flow of oil. Is it feasible today? You can't. You have to make alternate arrangements, all that is story. You can make insurance, but physical movement means the north bank of the Gulf has to be secured, which means boots on ground in Iraq. Without that, nothing will happen. That's what I said next. Will Iran degenerate into the Iraq model for the next ISIS to emerge? Where did ISIS emerge from? The Iraqi army. Yeah, Iraqi army or the Revolutionary Guards. They also had that Revolutionary Guards principle. One fine day, ISIS emerged and it destabilized that entire area. You have to fight against the Iraqis, the Assad regime, to save that Iraq regime. Even today, Iraq militia forces are active under the Iranian leadership. Iran's proxies need to behave if you want peace there. Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, Iraq militia. They're still active. They might be weak, they're active. It's ideology. You can't kill an ideology. You can't change that ideology. In fact, whatever is happening is going to increase that ideology. And I've been saying this. The Shia thinking, the ideology of Shias is what? Worship. What do they worship? Shahadat. Martyrdom. Their thought of martyrdom is not realized in the East, or rather in the West. We also talk of martyrs, Shahadat. All our songs, movies are all about Shahadat. There it's even more, it's fanatical. It's not radical, it's fanatical. Especially the Shias. And whether you like it or not, at one point of time, when those old wars used to take place between, Islam and Christianity, the Christians were fanatical also at that point. No more. They're not that fanatical to talk of. And how does USA change this ideology by declaring victory? Where are we going? I so far don't see, in fact, even the victory is not taken place as it. Right? So this is what I thought I'll put across. Over to you. We'll talk of this a little later. Yeah. The rest of the
Thank you
points
so
later.
much, sir.
And I'm sure
Thank you.
Rajiv Narayan has different viewpoints, and I want a completely opposite viewpoint to what I've said. And so that we understand the bigger problem which will come out. Over to you.
Over to you, sir.
Okay. So, to understand what the Americans are doing, you go back to when the Americans became the unipolar power in the world with the
Second
collapse
World
of
War.
the collapse of Soviet Union.
Okay, right. 1990.
Collapse
Yeah.
of Soviet Union 92 is when it became a unipolar world, and that's when they had set up all these things of how to dominate the world island. See, the Americas are outlying islands. The world island is Eurasia and African landmass. That is the world island. If you have to dominate, you have to be there, and you have to pick and choose what you want to do. It has to continue to be in a turmoil. That's point number one. Point number two, they had established an office in 92, which was called bipartisan, which was called Pax Americana. In about 2-3 years, they felt it was too imperialistic, and they called it the project of the new American century. The task of that project of the new American century is to ensure American dominance in the 21st century. Right. Paper was written in 98 of redrawing the borders of Middle East. Given to me when I was DA Tajikistan by the Americans in 2004, which we have shown in a number of places. And I had mentioned one thing to the Americans, that a lot of blood will flow. A lot of blood had flowed in First World War in this region when you fought against the Ottomans. Based on that, these borders have come. And now it was almost 90 years by then, 2018. I was given this in 2004, that a lot of blood will flow. I was a colonel then. Simple statement, Colonel, we are ready for it. How? It is Mackinday's theory. You got to put pressure on Russia. So you go to the spikemans, rimland, control the rimland. So you'll always find battles going on in West Asia, and now you have it in Ukraine. So Ukraine, West Asia, he's angry with you that you did not pick up a fight either with Pakistan and a continued fight in China for you. That's why he was angry with you. So this is the backdrop. I entirely agree with the fact there is no peace without boots on ground. If you can show the 3D image, sir, I'll just cover it up.
Just show my picture.
Yes. It's not an Iraq which is plain area between the two rivers, Tigris and Euphrates. Look at the mountainous terrain that is there. It's not going to be simple. It is almost twice the size of Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, you had another alliance. You made use of that for the initial victories, and then you brought in the boots on ground to secure that victory, and rest is history. If you look at Iraq, you put your boots on ground. You went in the whole hog. If you look at Syria, it had a long boundary with Turkey, and it was very easy to arm the other people, and there was dissent post the Arab Spring. You were able to do it. If you look at Libya, it had a huge coastline. Post the Arab Spring, there was dissent. You were able to do it. What is the opposition here? Whom are you going to arm?
Yeah.
Kurds, like General Shankar had said, a small portion in the northwestern corner. Baluch, small portion in the southeastern corner. What about the bulk? Every province, 31 province, every district, every city, every village has a presence of Basij and IRGC. That's how dictators and autocrats control. You have your people everywhere to suppress any dissent. people may have come in, but you lost the plot by making a statement that US will always have control of who rules Iran. You think the civilizational people of Iran will accept it? They know what happened when you removed Mossadegh in a CIA plot and you brought in Shah Reza Pahlavi. They hate that family. And now you're trying to prop up Reza Pahlavi sitting in US. How? Fine. You want to prop him up? Well done. Send him there. Tell him, handsome, you'll go to ground out there. Coalesce and get the people together against it. Does he have the spunk to come here? It's so easy to say from there. There is just no way there is going to be peace. And I don't think the Americans are interested in this peace. The Gulf is going to be on a boil for a very long time. The Iranians, especially the IRGC and others, are not going to roll over and give you any victory. And without that happening, for the Americans to say, okay, I have achieved victory and leave, you've cut your nose. If you're losing 16 to 20 seats in the Senate in the November elections, if you cut corners and go back here, thank you, all 36 seats you may lose. Maybe an odd seat you may win. As it is, the House of Representatives, out of the 400 plus seats, you are hardly winning anything now. You cut your corners, I don't know what's going to happen. And thereafter, you become a lame duck. So he is like I always say on terrorism, that you are riding a tiger. So he is riding a tiger. Can he dismount? I don't think so. You'll continue. Okay, you say that, okay, Iran will run out. Ditto for missiles. Well, ditto for US and Israel. How long are your weapons going to last? You yourself were facing big problem as far as supplying Ukraine was concerned. How do you supply yourself now in this extended fight? Iranians shifted to Bitcoin in 2019. It is controlled by IRGC. And the Bitcoin analysts that I was reading about, they have mentioned that since the time this war has started, there has been a huge spike in Bitcoin generation. Their assessment is the Iranians, when they mine the Bitcoin, it costs them anything between $1,300 to $1,500. Cost is close to $75,000 per Bitcoin today. $70,000. And they are trading annually in, till last year was 6.6 billion. That is how they are funding everything for themselves, sourcing from whichever places they want to, by using Bitcoins. Even the sale of oil and other things, they were using Bitcoins so they can overcome the sanctions. The hyperglide missile is a prime example that DF-17 technology was given to them by the Chinese. And so they made the Fateh 1 and Fateh 2. All that poppycock and nonsense that they say, no, this is homegrown. Well, if it was homegrown, you would have used it in the 12-day war in June. You never used it. You used it only now. And I think whatever little you had, you used it. But 20 odd has hit Israel. And that's it. Now you're not using it because you don't have it. They will go into asymmetric warfare full. The big question is, whose boots on ground? And the main impact on India is twofold: oil and gas. Gas, the only saving grace is 50% of your gas is your own, which you are using. It's about 49.4 or 5% is that you import. Bulk is from the Gulf. You're already in talks with the Americans, the Russians, and the Australians. About a month later, you'll be able to cover it up. You have approximately a month's stock available with you. That is at the government level. What each of GAIL and others have, we don't know. They all keep their strategic reserve stock. So you will be able to tide it over. There may be a little rationing. Already the rationing has been done for the industry. As far as oil is concerned, 2.7 million barrels a day used to come from the Gulf. 4 million barrels are on the way from Venezuela, and the complete stock of Venezuela, 1 million barrels per day, is coming to you. Russia has already diverted 9 million barrels to you, and the US has given you 1 month waiver, which will carry on. Like it was being given to Reliance earlier, it will be given for the Russians also. The three countries, as I see it, will be laughing their way to the banks, depending on however long this war continues, and it will going to be a long drawn affair. It will be a slow meat grinder sort of an affair. India, Russia, and US. Because of these are the three countries majorly who are going to provide the energy security in lieu of the Gulf. Biggest losers, the Gulf is going to be in a turmoil. Big turmoil. We are only looking at gas. 80% of food is imported by the Gulf countries, which goes through the Straits of Hormuz. What do? And I'm just waiting to see the Iranians hit the desalinization plant. They'll start hitting. General Shankar had mentioned about the Caspian pipeline, the biggest one. While they say that Azerbaijan is in threat, I am sure the BTC, Baku-Tbilisi-Kehan pipeline.
That's the target.
That's the target. BTC pipeline will be the target. They'll destroy that target. They are only going to widen the scope. European nations of NATO have already chickened out. Despite Turkey having been attacked, and of course, they took it out over the Mediterranean. That's a different point of view. Only one country has come out and said, France, that you can use my base in West Asia. Full stop. Spain, in any case, has said nonsense. We don't support it. So Article 5 of NATO goes down the drain. So these are the three countries who will benefit. Maybe about a month of a little bit of rationing, and already the government has clearly stated that they are not going to increase any gas or oil prices. They'll use this whatever reserves is available. Rationing, what is to be done, will be sent to the industries. After that, you have your gas is available to you. Oil is available to you. Much more than what you were getting from the Gulf. How do the Gulf economies survive? Iran's statement is simple. Hum to doobenge sanam, tumko bhi le doobenge. And they had made a mention that it is not just the American bases, they are going to convert it into a regional war, and they have done it. And they will do it. So I'll stop here. That you have won the war. Where has ever US won the peace in any of the places they have gone in? You look at Korea, it's an armistice. There is no peace. Come to Vietnam, zilch. Come to Afghanistan, zero. Come to Iraq, zero. Syria, zero. Libya, zero. Iran will be one more zero. Let's stop this.
There's a saying in Tamil. Thank you, General Rajiv. Noonalum tan vaayal kedum. Meaning, like a frog will create its own destruction by croaking. So we have a president who doesn't know when to keep shut. He is thinking that he is creating ambiguity, saying that I have a say in the selection of the next chief. We know that you have. Why else would you be pounding them? Why say it? There may be 1% who might be convinced that there is a process that is happening. So it beats me why Trump sometimes makes some of these statements. There's also a big change inside the cabinet. The Department of Homeland Security has been taken out and assigned a new position. We don't know the importance of that position. Sounds big, but a new senator is now becoming the DHS, which means his seat will be vacated. You have another problem. Everything is 50-50. Everywhere we are going to have these challenges where the Democrats will try and pump in a lot of money to try and steal that Senate seat. I have a feeling Trump may be biting or more than what he can chew here. And neocons really, got him this time. What's his name? Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
Marco Rubio is also a neocon. This guy is a neocon. Bibi Netanyahu is a neocon. The reason neocon is important because there's a guy called Kristol, Kristol. He's supposed to be the founder of the neocon movement out of Philadelphia. And guess where Bibi Netanyahu studied? Philadelphia. He used to hang out at their place all the time. So you have this war will solve all problems mindset, which is the mindset of neocons. And now we are looking at how this is going to be wound down. It's actually winding up even more now. I don't see it wound down. And
No, I look at it that the biggest fear the Americans should be having it is if this repercussion comes within US. Hardliners, there's a lot of hardliners sitting in US.
yeah.
So if the repercussion starts here and there is no dearth of weapons being available to them, it's legal. Once the repercussion starts here, I wonder what Trump and even Homeland Security can do.
Very true, sir. General Shankar, let's put the thing back. Ball is back in your court, sir. The Middle East, they are saying we just paid for Board of Peace. What are we getting out of that? There was a very open statement by a billionaire based in UAE. You would have seen that. And so nobody is happy here right now. I thought there was a small point of maybe one day when the top 49 people were taken out, people thought maybe, okay, everything is going to be fine now. And what we are seeing is not really. Over to you, sir.
Look, I completely agree with what General Rajiv said and what you are saying. On day 6, what is very apparent to all of us? Very fundamentally, this is going to be a long war. Okay, the shock and awe will finish in a few days. It's got no value. Limited. US might have more weapons, which they've said they'll sustain, they will escalate, all that. But after some time, there's no one to fight. There are no targets to kill. Gone, finished. After that, US also will come, the US armed forces will come into a state of marginal returns, diminishing marginal returns. Then what? And that, I predict, will come in the next 96 hours. It won't take longer than that. 3 days more. 70 to 96 is 4 days more. After 4 days, you will see this military thing winding down. Then this will become into a completely asymmetric equation. That's the first thing. Second thing, I think Trump came into this whole story and all this based on whatever happened in Venezuela, that he could control the whole thing, and then translated it, and he thought knocking off that guy and putting another character and doing the shock and awe and people will. But that won't happen. Israel already, which we discussed, has already gone through all this. If it didn't work then, why will it work now? How will it work now? Okay, no question. Trump's fundamental idea, targeting China, I agree, it will work and it's good for us. I have no doubt about it. That his larger aim of targeting China and all that is damn good, and that's the story which is coming out of Fox and company. Right? It's good. It helps us. But control of oil, well, he might control the oil. I have no doubt about that. You might control shipping, all that. But for that, you need a modicum of peace in that area. Has that gone? No. See, before this war started, you look at the Sunni crescent to the south, that is the Arabian Peninsula and beyond. They were reasonably forward-looking, diversifying, doing something different, surviving, getting into IT. UAE was becoming, had become a hub. Even Saudi Arabia was trying to change, leave Wahhabism and all that. And to the north was the Shia crescent. From Iran, Iraq, Syria, gone to Hezbollah, the Lebanon. That entire area was defunct economically, politically, terrorism-wise, and they have half the oil. Now you're going to see this story, and will the Shia part of the story improve or the Sunni part of the story degrade? That's the question today which you're going to answer. And that is what Iran is trying to do. They want to ensure that these governments, the Shia, prosperous Shia, Sunni governments also degenerate. and get to their level. So virtually, it's like fighting a buffalo in the water. You can't fight it. Okay. So you're going to see this problem, and this entire area is going to be destabilized for a long time to come with a wider thing. And here you have Israel, which is already, it wants only to ratchet up the war. Okay, in all this, what we have spoken, one little thing we have forgotten. Where is this 360 kilometers of 360 or 460 kilograms of enriched uranium? Where is this? What if this is already being converted into backpack bombs, like that movie, George Clooney's Peacemaker? Some chap goes with a little bomb into US, and bursts himself. Then what happens? How do you get hold of that? You can't put boots on ground because the entire buildup of the American forces is designed for a non-contact kind of a kinetic war. That non-contact kinetic war will not do anything more. You put a regime, it will go. You impose a regime on the Iranians, it will go. Right? And in fact, grant something to the Iranians. Don't they know that there is a regime, primary coming up and a secondary coming up, and whatever that American politics have to happen, and he has to face midterms? They're also playing for this. When on the day the midterms happen, or somewhere around that, or in the critical times, I'm sure Sri Iyer ji knows better on those dates than I am. This
first Tuesday of November, sir. First Tuesday of November. First Tuesday of November. Yeah.
That's the midterms. But before that, a lot of things have to happen. No, on the
primaries will happen. Yeah, and each state chooses differently. Yeah.
So now that will start now. The primaries start getting affected. That will also get affected. So that is now. They also know what's happening here. There's no easy victory for USA. Now just think. In November, if Trump loses his grip on his Senate and his House of Representatives and becomes a lame duck president, where are we? I'm not looking at what's happening now. What's happening now will happen. But I look at this in January, when Mr. Trump is a lame duck president, right? All these great things will come to a stop. Where does it leave India? I agree with what Narayanan says, that we laugh our way to the bank. But we also have to contend with a long line of instability there. So if that is the case, also, I heard the Iranian representative in India today morning talk about Iran and India relations. And he very rightly said, he says Iran-India relationship transcend time. He says they go back to about 400-500 years. It's not 1 day, 2 days relationship. And we value that relationship on those lines. So you have equities there. You have equities in Dubai. You have equities in Saudis. You have equities in this entire area. How do you change these equities into stability for ourselves is the question. Are we thinking about that? If we're thinking about it, damn good. If we're not thinking about it, we must start thinking. It is energy security, economic stability will be there. On that, like he said, we'll laugh our way to the bank. But what about the larger issue? Isn't this your opportunity or your time when you step up? The Iranians definitely will not trust China anymore. Whatever China has to do has done. In fact, the Chinese have let them down. They might have given some DF-27 and 17 technology and all that at a cost. Suddenly the Iranians are realizing, these chaps have led us down the garden path. They're not going to go there. Where will the Iranians go? Today they are isolated. Is there a vacuum which is being created for us? You have Afghanistan in your pocket. If you have Iran in your, good books, and also the rest of the thing, don't you emerge? And if you emerge, right, can you emerge without adequate military power? Do you have adequate military power to handle all this? Right? And then that means you have to start controlling the Indian Ocean region completely. With USA, without USA, it's a different story. So I think we have to rethink this entire thing which is happening. Your economy will go up. There's no doubt. Every second day, either Mark Carney or someone else is coming here. The Finnish president Alexander Stubb was here 4 days back. Someone else was there. Why are they coming? They're looking at stability, everything in India. So you have an opportunity. Do you have the capability to use that opportunity at a macro level is the issue. And you also saying that the Chinese are, subdued. Chinese will remain subdued. Yesterday was their 2 sessions. If you go into the 2 sessions, you saw that they are in a big mess internally. Their messaging which is coming out from there suggests they are in a bigger mess than we have imagined. Don't be surprised if China goes into a problem. Remember, China is an export-oriented economy. If their exports don't kick in, if their exports don't stabilize, if their exports don't increase, their economy is going to collapse. They're going to go into chaos. With the kind of chaos which is happening here, what will be the back-end effect on Chinese exports? What will be the direct impact on Chinese energy imports? If they can't import energy, they can't export everything. So if that happens, what is the vacuum which is coming globally? And where does India stand in it? Is India ready for it? Right. Our international position, our military position, everything was fantastic till Op Sindoor. Op Sindoor should have taught us that we need to step up our act a little more. And today, I think you have to go think completely bigger. And also, US cannot move ahead here without India. That is very clear. If you want to keep the Gulf of Hormuz open, you want to keep the Red Sea lines open, you need India. Without India, there's no way you can go ahead. So I think we need to rethink our entire story internally, because what is in it for India? Short term, we will have a little problem, or markets might go up a little up and down, some shortage here and there, but we'll recover. But the larger picture is what I am looking at, and I think we need to work on it. Back to you.
Thank you so much, sir. General Rajiv, there is a place called Banka, Iran, where some strikes have alleged to have happened, and this is supposed to be another nuclear facility. Have you heard of this? This is something new.
They are going around targeting, see the known ones, and then the unknown new ones have emerged. They are all targeting that. How deep have they gone? Have they learned the lessons? Can you neutralize it? Because all the 450 tons of uranium, they are not kept in one single place. They've been dispersed. Now, that's the biggest problem that the Americans have. And we have tremendous goodwill still in the Middle East, because we have been evacuating till today morning almost about 90 flights you have done. So they're giving you that window. Iranians, Americans, and the Israelis are giving you that window. There are another about 40-50 flights to get people out. It's not just the Indians. Even the other country people are also being taken out. Our press somehow doesn't play it up. They played up just one aircraft of the Americans which came. Here I'm talking of 90 and 50 more in that region to get people out, and our press is not going to. So that tells you that you have. As far as our intervention is concerned, there are 2-3 things in this which I would add. First, what exactly was the end state that America was talking of? One chap says regime change. His Secretary of the Department of War says no, regime change was not there. That's confusion. Now Anthony Blinken says he will come out declaring victory. Well, what exactly is your notion of victory? What is your notion of victory that you will come out? These two are big things. I don't think they have given deep thought to it. And like we talk in the military, escalatory control matrix. Now, you may have your escalatory control matrix available to you in the conventional domain. How do you control it in the asymmetric domain? You're not given it a thought. Just not given it a thought. So I think we are looking at it in the larger picture. And once I think our diplomacy will step in once the Americans start feeling the pinch, and which is the
Every day now.
primary start around June, and the midterm is on 3rd of November, first Tuesday in November. And after that, the boot starts pinching because the Democrats are not happy with what is being done. So now you need an off ramp. What is this off ramp you take? That's why I said notion of victory. And that is where they will bank on us to get an off ramp. The 150, 100 and almost about 140, 150 flights to get people out from there that you're doing has indicated to them that the goodwill that you have across both flanks of the Persian Gulf is enormous. So if he has to achieve any notion of whatever he thinks as perceived victory, diplomatically, you will be the person. And I'm sure the back channel talks are already on with the Iranians, with the other Gulf countries. Because in this domain, sir, there's an old Madan Puri statement, Albert जो कहता है वो करता नहीं है और जो करता है वो कहता नहीं है. Track 2, 1.5 to track 3 talks, you don't declare in the open what you're talking. Not necessarily you'll be talking to the Iranians in India or Iran. You may be talking in any third, fourth country. But I'm certain those talks are on. Because while I ultimately, once I have been talking about prompt regional response capability since 2017-18, that this is what your military needs. If you want to say that I dominate, then you need a prompt regional response capability, whether it militarily or for HADR or for anything else. HADR you have achieved. Militarily, still work needs to be done. You're doing it, but still much more needs to be done. When you're doing that, you cannot have a destabilized West Asia. You'll be happy you're laughing your way to the bank. That's good. It helps your economy. But at some point in time, you can't have a destabilized West Asia going around in your neighborhood. Then that is when the diplomacy will kick in and other things comes in, because the longer the Americans stay in this place attacking Iran, the fall of the economy of the Gulf state will be that much more. Most of them are dependent on the oil and gas exports. While yes, the Lloyds of UK has just stopped. London, I won't say UK, Lloyds of London, City of London, not London itself, City of London. They have said no, we are not going to give insurance, and they cover 80% of the maritime insurance. US and India have stepped in, that we will provide the insurance cover and physical protection. Can the US give it with what they're doing to the Iranians? You may do it. They may agree to your ships coming out. So it's a catch-22 for the Americans. What are they going to do? How are they going to manage? Now, what do the Saudis and others do? Like what the Iranians have said, they'll permit only the Chinese ships to go. Subsequently, they may say, okay, Chinese and Indian ships to go. What happens to the rest? So it will go long, and maybe sometime early next year, they will have to coin their notion of victory and say, okay, we have achieved it. I don't think they will be able to do anything much because it showed the terrain. It's massive. You require tremendous boots on ground, and NATO is not coming. Half the size the NATO came with their ISAF in Afghanistan. You insulted them also. Said they did nothing. They just sat there. They did nothing. So why will they come? It's your war. Go ahead and do it. It's not UN approved. You've gone yourself. Go ahead. So will the Americans bite the bullet? This time round, like the people didn't come out. Why? They were led up a garden path when they came out last time, 28 to 7 January, and how much? Officially, Iran says 80,000 killed. I'm sure more than a lakh have been killed. And this doesn't count for people whom they have arrested and killed in their jails or hung. Why will they come out now again and get killed with no weapons? What are you telling them? To fight with sticks and stones when the other side is firing machine guns? So I don't think it has been thought through. If you believe the Omani diplomat, when it comes to believing the Omani diplomat versus Trump, most of the people in the world will believe the Omani diplomat than Trump. Because he's done so many U-turns, you never know. As per him, what they did in Muscat, the Iranians had agreed for everything. 100%. Whatever were the American demands. Then was it your personal bias that these people had attacked the embassy in 79 and captured the diplomats that made you go in? What was it? If he has agreed, then Geneva was just to finalize the draft, and then the deal would have been done. If that was the case, why go in at all? What exactly is the motive? And that's where I come back to the point of redrawing the borders. He's least interested in the rest of Iran. He's going to fund a little bit the BLA to take out whatever little from the southeastern portion about Sistan, Baluchistan he can do, eyeing essentially the Chabahar port. And the Kurds can take whatever they want. Will the Azeris bite the bullet and come to take the 4-5 districts in the northeast? That is up to them. The Kurds are ready to fight, and I'm sure they'll want a Kurdistan. So that means the Iraqi Kurd, the Iranian Kurd, and the Syrian area will be declared as a Kurdistan. Will he be able to do anything in Turkey today? I really don't know. Can he do anything else? I don't know. How does he control the oil? Will he put his boots on the beaches and the hills, that mountains that align with the beaches of Iran? I don't think so. You are hesitating to go into the Persian Gulf. You are sitting in, not even in the Gulf of Oman. You are sitting hugging the coastline of Oman. None of your ship is up there. You're sitting in the Mediterranean. So I think he's only looking at breaking it up into these two parts and leaving those people to themselves. And he will say, I've achieved my victory, or whatever it is worth. Maybe try a backdoor channel to strengthen Pezeshkian. But then Pezeshkian doesn't control neither the IRGC nor the military. He doesn't control anything. Pezeshkian will do what? It's a bugger's muddle which is there in Iran today. And I don't think there is any clarity of thought either in the White House or in the Department of War that what have we gone to achieve. So I'll stop here.
Thank you so much, sir. General Dushyant joins us. General Dushyant, sorry for your trouble. I hope you find your laptop.
Yeah.
I'm always afraid when I'm going through airport security, sir. Always afraid.
No, it fell from my dicky, actually.
Oh, okay.
So that's how I lost my ID card, everything. So I am now on a mobile. So, but I think I've not heard the other guests. My own view on this is that everybody has gone into a situation where they don't know how to get out of it. And that is the view which I have on this particular issue. Yeah, there could be a million possibilities of how this war is now likely to end. The only ray of hope that the war may end is the fact that how long can Iran sustain given its limited arsenals which it has. External support, Russia and China, I'm doubtful. As somebody said, China has not really shown its hand at all. If there is going to be any help, it will be like what they did to the Russians. So that is not going to take them long, because Russia itself has a lot of inherent potential to stand up to even NATO and US. But does Iran have that kind of a standing? I have my serious doubts on that. So to me, it looks like it will be a broken Iran, dismembered Iran. But US will not step with its boots in Iran. The reason being that it has learned its lesson, and I think General Rajiv Narayanan put up the topography of Iran in the internal discussion which we had. And it's another Osama bin Laden type of operation which it will have to go through, suffering a lot if its boots are on the ground. So it will try to do everything from the aerial route, try to submit Iran into submission and agree to it, provided there is somebody to agree to it. Because I find that even in the Iranian landscape of authority, and there is no one actually with whom they can actually talk to. IRGC in control? Is it Pezeshkian in control? Is it the Supreme Council in control? I don't know, because anybody who is nominated as the Ayatollah, which is people say that it is the son of Ayatollah Khamenei, he may be a limited days mehman. तो कुछ दिन में वो भी निकल जाएगा. So there is a sense of uncertainty, but the hats off to the Iranians. They are actually standing up to one of the superpowers with limited capabilities. Military capabilities are very, very limited, but yet they are showing that asymmetry can be dealt. And if they've stood for 6 days, who knows? They might stand for another 10, 12 days, 15 days. And with the interceptor arsenal of America dwindling, it's not long before the Arab countries also start looking at US to withdraw from this place. So that's my short take, because we are already 56 minutes down. So we can take the questions later on during question answer session.
Thank you so much, sir. My limited point about Iran rising again, they just suffered about 1 lakh casualties. There is going to be hesitation. They are always going to be looking and seeing, which way the wind is blowing. I think we need to give it a little bit more time. This is just my personal opinion, and then see what happens. Because even if the people were to come out on the streets the next day, how is that going to change the government itself? I mean, there has to be like a structure, like the way we have a Supreme Court Chief Justice who can, usher in the next leader. That person picks his cabinet, his or her cabinet, and there are government bodies will work with them. There's a process, there's a procedure. I don't know how well it has been done, put in place in Iran, because it's gone through a couple of, extreme one side, extreme of the other side. I'm really not having very good ideas about that part. That's why I kept thinking that, somebody like Reza Pahlavi can come in and just run an interim thing while a constitution is written. And then from that constitution, based on that, parties can be formed, and then you can have elections, and then the democracy can start. It's going to take 2-3 years, but that is when no fighting is going on. Right now, there is, I don't know where to begin. This is like a ball.
So what you're saying, sir, the IRGC and Basij have to be neutralized. Are they neutralized?
Yes.
It's a polarized nation. It's a polarized, fanatical, radicalized nation. Okay.
And don't forget the Kurds also. They're also floating. They are floating around.
Some portion of theirs. The PLA, Baluchis may take some portion of this. Rest is going to stay in a turmoil.
Yeah. And most likely, boots on ground will face a lot of resistance, because it's not that Khamenei has lost his total popularity base. No, I think they do enjoy a fair amount of popularity within Iran. So they will all go underground, and that's the way I look at future panning out.
Actually, yesterday I was listening to something. They said, people from Bhopal want to go there. And
Absolutely. Absolutely. Bhopal, Lucknow.
All over India, the Shias want to go there.
The religious following. After all, he was the head of the Shias in some manner.
I am only saying, I only said one thing. Send them. If they want to go, send them. But the point is what I was making, sir. For Reza Pahlavi to come here and gain acceptance, he can't come like this now. He should already have been there underground, coordinating with the like-minded people. If he cannot do that, sitting in USA, if he thinks he can come for an interim, he'll get killed. He'll
Absolutely.
get eliminated.
See,
He won't
in
be
one of his conversations, Trump let it slip that he doesn't think Reza Pahlavi is the guy. He said
Yeah,
that.
he said that. He said that. I think
So,
there was a statement made yesterday that it has to be somebody from Iran, within
it
Iran.
has to be somebody from inside, whoever is there inside. Who's
It
there?
can't be Reza Pahlavi. There was a statement like this which came in the papers. I think I read somewhere that if there is going to be a change, it will be somebody from Iran, within Iran,
Yeah. Yeah.
and not Reza, not Reza Pahlavi.
Iran being a civilizational country for both sides, the fanatics and the others. I am reminded of Macaulay, Thomas Babington Macaulay's famous poem on ancient Rome. How can a man die better than facing fearful odds for the ashes of his forebears and the temple of his gods? This is the type of people, a civilizational country, this is what you'll get.
See, yeah, I agree with you 100%. Another point is, you see,
You saw it in Afghanistan. There is also a civilizational country. Civilizational countries just don't roll over.
then you are killing, you are killing all the guys whom they nominate as a successor. Tomorrow you put a successor there, they'll also do the same
They
thing.
will nominate, they will eliminate.
They will eliminate whoever goes there. Who will go there now? So there's a problem. There's a big
Like I said, he's
big
going to
problem.
leave it in a mess. He will create that Kurd becomes autonomous, the Sistan, Baluchistan, whatever little they can create autonomous becomes autonomous, and then rest, Bhagwan Bharose, sort it out yourself. He'll have to cut his costs and run.
Yeah, somewhere it has to happen.
let's take some
Yep.
questions now. Let's start with General Shankar. A US official very clearly says that US will not allow India to rise or become a competitor like China. How do we handle USA? We have no future with anyone. Are we alone? In Raisina, somebody said that?
USA cannot exist without us hereafter. Let's be very clear. That's what we have been telling. You think
Yeah.
USA has got the capability?
I will only tell Mr. Vignesh, US, the bulk of the international trade takes place in medium and low grade technology. That's your day-to-day requirements. Nothing is made in USA. Nothing. Why were they dependent on China? Because they outsourced everything to China. He has to give it out. There is no industry worth its name. Other than super high tech, there is nothing available with them. You take a safety pin, you take a pencil, you take rubber, you take your carpet, you take anything. Nothing is made in USA. So he has to depend on somebody to survive. And that country whom he depends on will rise, whether he likes it or not. He can do nothing, and he knows it that he has to. The US official can say what he wants to.
General Rajiv. This is for General Rajiv. Next question. With deep squeeze on China and its internal issues, are we heading into a time when China will feel an existential threat, and how might it react?
We have General Shankar and I, and General Shankar in his individual podcasts has discussed it a lot of time. Whenever there is an autocrat and then there is a change of power, it takes anything from 3 to 5 years. You go back in the history of China, even when there were kingdoms out there, it takes that much of time. This has just started. And when it has an existential threat, it tries to hit out. This time around, the biggest problem is there is fracture within the PLA itself. There is fracture within the PLA itself. But even then, we have to be very vigilant along our LAC that is one place. We have discussed it ad nauseum, I think, earlier also. He doesn't have the capacity or the capability to do anything against Taiwan. He doesn't have that. It is along the LAC that if he has to do anything, he'll do it along our LAC or any other smaller country that he wants to threaten. That's what he can do. Nothing more, nothing less. But this is an existential threat today, which is very different from other times. There is a clash within the PLA, within the CPC. While PLA, we may say that Xi Jinping doesn't have that much of control on the PLA. That is not the case with CPC. Then CPC, he has tremendous clout and he has his people still holding power. See, not one of the Politburo Standing Committee has been purged till now. The other faction, they have not been able to touch. So they have that. So wait 3-4 years, 5 years. It will take its own time.
Yeah.
Next question for General Dushan. Rate of reduction in missile drone launches over time implies by March 9th or 10th, 10 by March 9th, less than 10 missiles per day, and by March 20th, less than 10 drones per day. Your thoughts, sir?
Well, there are no specific intelligence inputs, but what I have been given to understand is about 3,000 odd was the stockpile of Iran earlier, and about 4,000 plus of the Americans. So going by that rate, and the Americans have the definite capability to surge their production, although it is not that much as one would like to compare it with Russia. In my view, he may be right in terms of number of missiles, but as far as drones are concerned, I have my serious doubts. I think the Russians are going to give them quietly under the table. The drones are going to be seen for a quite longer time, and their drones are quite effective. Let me tell you, given the fact that they can easily bypass the interceptor uh, air defense missile systems of the US, especially the Arab countries, they don't have adequate protection. And to me, it looks like that the Americans are more busy protecting themselves than Israel. So Arab nations are going to face, and in any case, he's expanded the war to Azerbaijan, although Iran has not claimed the attack on Azerbaijan. But overall, in my view, more Iran expands the war, he's trying to do in the hope that the Americans will withdraw, but it also depletes their strength. So Iran may not last more than another 7 to 8 days is my reading, except the drones. The drones will continue because drones are easy to be given to any country, underhand, overhand, whichever way you want to call it. And they have a land route along that particular Russia to Iran, so should not be a
And
problem.
add to what Jal Dushan said, drone making is like a cottage industry.
Absolutely, absolutely. What are you saying in
Yes.
Ukraine? And mind you, there is another thing, sir. When the drones can be used in a multiple way, they already have Houthis there, they already have the Hezbollah there. So the range can be extended. A drone can be taken to all these places, and the consequent range would be covering every part of our West Asia. That is more dangerous. It's like that the Ukrainians did a strategic bomber bombing of Russia. It was basically by putting the drones inside Russia and then being used by the locals who are pro-Ukraine. So such that range extension is not only by technology, but it's also by humans. That is where the danger lies.
Before we go to the next question, let's say take a listen on this Raising and Dialogue thing where the US spokesperson has said something. Let's bring up the video, please.
Economic and commercial opportunities. But again, India should understand that we're not going to make the same mistakes with India that we made with China 20 years ago in terms of saying, oh, we're gonna let you be able to develop all these markets, and then the next thing we know, you're beating us in a lot of commercial things. We're going to make sure that whatever we do, it's fair to our people, because ultimately we have to be accountable to our own people, just as the government of India has to be accountable to its people. So again, I think on the commercial economic front, it's incredibly bright. I think at a more general political level, we have two leaders in our two countries who.
This is Deputy Secretary of State Landau. He is the one who made that statement. Let's go to the next question, please. Hemant wants to know, sir, won't Iran's ability to fight deteriorate with time? Is this a war of attrition of capability? General Shankar.
Iran's ability to fight will increase with time because they might finish off their missiles and all that, but they still have drones. And the whole story is asymmetry. Their asymmetric capabilities will increase. What are the asymmetric capabilities of USA? Zero. Will USA go in? USA can't go in. They can't stop asymmetry. Then what happens? Look, you've shown that video. I'd like to comment on that. You see, this is the way America operates. They've sent a message to us. We will not do all that. Can they stop it? Can they stop whatever is happening in India? So I won't give too much credence to these underlings who come and give these messages. If you remember, some time back, one chap came to India and he said, Lakshman Singh, I think his name, who said, oh, we will put so many sanctions on India and we will destroy your economy and this and that. Same thing this was also trying to give. What will happen to him? So we should be patient and not react to these nonsense which comes from USA. We are not American, allies. America needs to understand by now we are not their allies. We are going to be with them on topics of our story. We are going to be transactional with them. They should be very clear about it by now. They were transactional with us. Abhi hamara bari hai. Bada simple hai. If we have to deal with Iran, we'll deal with Iran. Okay. There's no guarantees that America should be the numero uno power in the world and should rule us. There's no this thing that George Soros should come and topple my government. Whether it is George Soros, which is who are the fundamentals of democratic, or the Trump and Trumpian ideology, both are bad for us. So please understand, we should develop our own thing when we have enough depth in our country. Both sides of our political divide, we have adequate civilizational depth. Don't ever forget, all of us, that we are also a civilizational country which is older than Iran. So don't get carried away by all this nonsense which is coming up. Please carry on.
Thank you, sir. General Rajiv, this is for you. If war stops without stopping Iran from making a nuclear bomb, will it be a victory for the USA? Your view?
How you put a question for question's sake, sir. The whole purpose of the war is to stop them going nuclear.
Right.
So then your question doesn't have a meaning. Why will he stop if he feels Iran is going nuclear? That is the purpose. One of the stated purpose going to the war is to stop him from going nuclear. And like I mentioned, if you believe the Omani diplomat, everything was agreed upon. Even missiles, range of missiles, everything was agreed upon.
Yeah.
Much more to it than meets the eye why this war is started.
Including US inspectors, not only IAEA inspectors.
Even US inspectors, everything.
Yeah.
No stockpiles, no nothing, no enrichment of uranium. Everything they agreed, even range of missiles. Whatever was the list that Trump had given, they had agreed for everything.
And de-enrich also. De-enrich.
Yes. So after that, he's still gone to war means, well, if he had achieved this and had got this treaty before June, just imagine the amount of votes he would have got in his midterms.
Next one, please. General Dushyant, thank you so much. Manikrish, next question. This is for General Dushyant. Sir, I think America and Israel will declare they won as they destroyed missile and nuclear infra, and in Iran will declare it won as there is no regime change. Win-win for all. That is endgame of this. Your thoughts?
Yeah, both sides are looking for an off-ramp solution, and any checkmate, any stalemate is victory for Iran. You can keep talking whatever you want to talk.
So that was
Next
the reason
question,
why
General Shankar.
have the American given due thought of what is the end state and what is the notion of victory. That's
Absolutely.
where you will be able to have your off-ramp.
Yeah.
Next question to General Shankar. Good morning, sirs. Great to see you all together. Love the interplay between the different perspectives. Question is, was the Indian Navy aware of the US? Let's not answer this question. Let's go on to the next question.
No,
Stay on.
Even if you're away, so what?
We were
I'm
aware.
sure we were all aware. Everyone knows there are submarines loafing around.
Absolutely.
उसमें क्या है? वो उससे कुछ लेना देना नहीं है. Anyway, yeah, let's take another question.
Next question. This is again for you, General Shankar. US has won power projection shown to China.
Look, US is, like I said always, and what General Narayanan also said, the amount of pressure which has come back on China, right, through US, not only here, look at it the larger. What's happened in Latin America? He's out of Panama. Today, the news media in China has agreed to the fact that we don't have a stake in Panama anymore. Okay, the complete northern edge of North America is all now anti-China, or rather, the China has got no stand there. Cuba is on the verge of following, right? And China wanted to make Cuba into US Taiwan. That was their plan. Okay, some time back. Now that's all gone. See, whatever is happening in the Middle East, West Asia, good, bad, or ugly, wherever it ends, China will be at a premium for getting oil out of this place. Okay, whether China, US wins or not, all that, US will not allow China to get oil from here, which the dark oil from here is gone. So you have to understand, today, Iran might say, I will not allow anyone except Russia and China to take their oil out. But US will say, if I can't take my oil out, how will you take your oil out? So that's all nonsense, So China is in a big problem. And the Greenland routes are now almost dead for China. China can't go anywhere near the Arctic. But you leave all that out, there's an internal problem in China, which he explained so nicely. वो कहाँ जाएगा Arctic जाके? The Chinaman won't go anywhere. He's got no place to go except Beijing. Xi Jinping has to survive. Okay. That's why I said, if you read what happened yesterday was there 2 sessions. What is 2 sessions? That's a annual parliamentary budget session. If you see that and understand what that tells you, it tells you China is in a major problem. And we can discuss it some other day because that will take a whole day to discuss. So, yeah.
In the larger perspective, we have forgotten Pakistan. They're in intense oil crisis. They have no oil.
No, actually, I have a presentation ready. In fact, my next podcast is going to be Pakistan is like a dog in the manger. And this manger consists of bulls like, India, Iran, USA, China, and, for that, Gulf countries and all that. Yeah, Pakistan is short. We'll have to discuss it in a different context. Afghanistan.
Thank you, Pratik Raut. General Rajiv, this was for you, sir. Why US is not supporting Baloch like Kurds?
Why do you think it is not being supported?
Yeah.
You think they are able to do all that without US support? Whatever they're doing in Pakistan. They are getting TTP, Taliban, they're all getting their support. So let's not get carried away that not being done. Kurds once bitten, twice shy. After what happened in Iraq, now they're asking their pound of flesh, and I think they're asking whatever territories they have together contiguous now to create a Kurdistan. Have the US agreed? Will it be feasible? What? Only time will tell. Even if they take away a portion of Iran, which is a small portion in the northwestern part of Iran, will the IRGC permit that? Can they tackle them? I showed you the terrain. It's a very mountainous area. It's not so simple. So time will tell. Will the Kurds get their Kurdistan? That's long time away.
Thank you so much, Abhishek. Next question to you, General Dushan. What if USA hadn't attacked Iran?
If Oman's diplomat story is correct, Trump would have been by now contending for a Nobel Peace Prize for the next year, although he's been banned. I think he's done something very, very stupid. Let him face the music now. It's a hypothetical question.
Well, okay. Next one, please. Thank you, Vijay Pula, for your donation. Next question to General Shankar. Why Indian government suddenly shared condolence message? Either it should have shared in due time or never. Is it another knee-jerk reaction from Modi? Khamenei.
which
Ameni.
look, that's part of normal diplomacy. I don't think anything much should be
See,
read.
you can. I will just add. You can share that condolence message when you go to sign it. When they keep the ledger there, only when they've opened the book there and say it is open, can you go and sign. You just don't go there and say I've come to give condolence. So these are part of diplomacy.
This part, it's okay. The normal diplomacy, nothing great about it.
Next one, please. Again, thank you, Saurabh. This is for you, General Rajiv. Air defense system of Middle East nowadays, jaagte raho.
Very true. All the people
Next one.
will run away from all the critical assets that are there, or the key tourist spots that are there in UAE. They're all going further and further away from that. That is their survival, because that is what Iran is targeting. Away from port, away from your tourist spots, away from airports, away from US consulates and embassies. Don't say any name. And then you're safe.
They're relocating, in fact.
Yes.
This is for you, General Dushyant. Jai Hind, sir. Thank you so much, Bhartwats. Your take on our downed Su-30 Assam. Both pilots couldn't eject. Any possibility of enemy action under current scenario?
I think till the investigations are over, we should not hazard any guess on this. Let the inquiry take place, and then we can take a call on it.
Last question for General Shankar. Will this give China an opening to move on Taiwan?
The opening is there, but can they take it? If they take it, they're getting their own problems more. Please remember, today PLA is a self-decimated force. No leadership. There's no leadership. There's no political consensus within China. If just think, in this condition, when all this is happening, he goes to Taiwan, and USA just closes the Malacca Strait, and the Strait of Hormuz to वैसे auto close है. उसका क्या हाल होगा? Think. I mean, no, we should understand. Don't think that just because you've gone there, it's a revolving door phenomenon. You could get into the other door. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. China is in tremendous problem. He is on the verge of losing 30% of his oil intake, and 20% of his oil intake was a tremendous discount.
Yes.
And he was selling his items back at three times the price. See where China is. I told you earlier, China's biggest thing is energy. He doesn't have. That is almost on the verge of being denied. His exports are under risk at this point of time. Who's there to buy his exports? Iran won't buy. Middle East won't buy. If he doesn't sell his exports, who will buy? With the energy crisis which has happened, see, we are happy because we can manage. We are a big country. We are a big economy. Look at small countries which can't afford their energy. They have to struggle to get their energy. They'll not buy Chinese items. If Chinese exports are hit in this whole process, there'll be an internal collapse in China. Please understand this fundamental thing. And all our economies are going to get hit in this. I don't think we are also out of the story. Our economy will survive, we'll make some money, everything, but our economy is going to get hit. Everyone's economy. And if that chap's economy is going to get, he's going to collapse. He's got a problem. Anyway, that's how it is. We'll talk of it.
One pointer I'll add in that, sir. Despite China having taken such a big hit, and though the Straits of Hormuz are now closed, Russia has offered oil and gas to India, not to China.
Not to Russia, not to China.
Yeah.
And because, you see, you have to understand, there's a problem within Russia. There's a difference of opinion within Russia, between Lavrov and Putin today, in some manner. Lavrov and Putin are coming out with opposite statements. And Putin and Xi Jinping have not seen eye to eye. And Russia wants to get onto the dollar system. They don't want to get onto the dollar system. They're no more interested in yuan. So, and Russia has now said, okay, if the oil prices increase, I'm very happy. I'm going to make China pay. That's why what General Rajiv said earlier, Russia will laugh its way to the bank, is very important to understand today. If the Russian oil is now sanctioned and it is kept out of the market, there'll be a major collapse. So the Russian oil will come center stage into the dollar economy. And who loses? Good old China.
Middle East and
Yeah.
China.
Middle East तो है ही है जो भी है.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, and we will see you
There's
again.
one more question which has come, Himanshi.
Which one? Himanshu, thank you so much. Will Gulf countries eye India for defense deal? General Rajiv.
Who knows? Of course. They
We'll
might
see,
turn
of
to you.
course.
They will turn to you. But you
It's a
need
great
to expand your capacities. So more and
Yeah.
more private companies need to come into your defense industrial complex to be able to provide for that. It's one thing that, okay, countries are asking for it. Number two,
Yeah,
to see is, do you have the capacity to cater for yourself and for what their demands are.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a heyday for groups like Kalyani and Tata Defense who are asking the government to give them orders. So there'll be a lot of play there.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, and wonderful session today. We'll see you again next Thursday on Three Good Generals. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Jai Hind.